Okay, sixth graders, part 2 of Harold Hollingsworth. So I have finished my drawing. I have outlined it with Sharpie or a black pen. One thing to note is that we created those two sides. Remember, there's 4 on this side and 16 on this. You're creating your name on the side that has the 4 squares. You do not need to go over those lines. You're just gonna create them by the way that you color. So after you've outlined it with Sharpie, you're going to choose colors. I like to do like 3 colors just because I kind of like to choose either a warm palette or a cool palette. You could do complementary colors, opposite on the color wheel, or analogous colors, the ones that are neighbors on our color wheel. Choose what is pleasing to your eye. And then you can either choose to color the whole thing in, or you can choose to leave some of the negative space white. So you have kind of the white and black, your choice. So you're creating this whole piece. And then to get the Harold Hollingsworth part of it, you'll need scissors, some kind of glue stick, Elmer's, whatever you have. And by the way, just to back up again, I used markers. You can use obviously any medium. If you have colored pencils, crayons, just to remind you of that. Don't let yourself be limited by art supplies. This is a technique, it's a style, you can use whatever you want. So I'm gonna cut this. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the paper so that I have my perfect 9 by 9 inch square. And now I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna cut out all of these squares. And yes, we're cutting up our art. Don't worry, we're gonna create another piece with it. So I'm cutting this up, and obviously you want to do it so that the pieces are even as possible, because what you will do is you will lay these on your background paper. So you will need either another piece of white, or I have just a random piece of black paper. You could use whatever you have laying around. And you're gonna cut all of these into your squares, and then you will lay them out to create a pattern that is pleasing to you. So here's my good side. I'm just flipping it over and I'm cutting my own squares, following the lines that we drew. So you probably are seeing why it's important that you measure. You want the squares to be equitable. You want them to be the same so that when you lay it out, they look the same. Same size, because you're kind of gonna put this back together as a puzzle. You're not putting it back together in your name, you're putting it back together as more of an abstract design. So don't worry if they're not in order, that isn't what you're trying to do. So I literally can just stack these kind of like a stack of cards. And then on my piece of black paper, which needs to be at least 9 by 9. And this one is actually, I should probably double check that. Yeah, mine's not quite, so I'll have to get another piece of paper, but this is what you do. You're gonna lay them out in any pattern that you want. So they don't have to even be the right way, like you don't have to have the letters going the same direction. You're just gonna lay them out so that the pattern is something that you like. They don't have to connect. And if you've had a chance to look at any of Harold Hollingsworth's art yet, which I will send that link, you will see that his pieces are this style, like you're trying to create this abstract pattern. So I'm gonna lay these in. I'm gonna pause the video again and then come back when we've got it together, and then we'll talk about how to finish it off.